Hey everybody, this is Dilyana and Mileva, and I'm excited to bring you Menopause Made Easy, a podcast designed to provide you tips and strategy to navigate the changes in woman's body, mind, and spirit with more grace and ease. I appreciate you tuning in. Remember to like, subscribe, and turn on your notifications so you are updated of each episode release. Alright, let's dive in. Hello everyone, and welcome to another amazing episode of Menopause Made Easy podcast. And I have amazing guests as usual today. Meet Sara Frenza, a published fitness writer, nutrition and body transformational coach, and the owner of Sara Frenza Fitness and Nutrition. After overcoming her own struggles with chronic dieting and post-pregnancy weight gain, Sara discovered a sustainable approach to lose weight and transform her body composition. Now she's helped women achieve their dream body through her one-on-one coaching program, focusing on exclusive restore, lean out, and sustain body transformation protocol. And she has also a Facebook group where she gives a lot of resources and free tools to help you to lose the weight. So yes. Welcome, Sara. I'm so glad to have you in the show.
Thank you for having me.
Let me start with how you come to this idea to help women. What is your actually struggles and how you find out what you can do to transform your body?
Yeah, okay. This comes off from personal experience and what I went through. So basically, I had my girls later on in my life. I gained a lot of weight during both of my pregnancies. And then as I started approaching 40, I was really struggling. So I tried lots of diets out there. I tried, eliminating carbs. I tried replacing meals for shakes. I did a lot of yo-yo dieting. And really what ended up happening is I kept gaining and losing the same weight over and over again. I didn't realize it at the time what was happening, but what was really going on is that it was really affecting my metabolic health every time that I was gaining and losing this weight. And so finally one day I saw a friend of mine, she posted a photo of herself on Instagram, like she did a before and after photo, and she looked amazing. So I reached out to her and I said, you look so awesome. Like, what have you been doing? And she told me that she hired a coach. And at the time, so this is now going back like 4 or 5 years ago, I didn't even know what a coach was. I had no idea that this even existed. And so she gave me the information of her coach and I started working with this coach. And this coach, she really taught me the importance of strength training. She taught me how to properly eat. And she literally got me into the best shape of my life in my early 40s. So I'm 45 right now. And at the time, like by the time I was 41, I was in the best shape that I've ever been in my life, even compared to how I look like in my 20s and my 30s. So because of this experience that I went through, I decided I need to teach women that they don't need to do these crazy things that they think they need to do in order to improve their overall body composition. And so that's when I decided that, you know what, I want to start coaching women as well too. So I went out and I've got my nutrition coaching certification. I've gotten certified as a body transformation coach. So specifically how women should train and eat to improve their body composition. And then I'm also now in the process of getting certified as a menopause coaching specialist because most of the women that we work with are now 40 and above and 50 and above. So it was really my personal experience that I decided that this is what I wanted to do and how I got into opening up my own business, leaving my full-time career, and really pouring my heart into wanting to help women.
Exactly. It's what was my experience. My personal struggle brought me to help women with menopause in the same way. So what are you find out the most common mistake that women do trying to losing weight after 40?
So the most common thing that I see is that they are under eating and dieting too frequently. Okay. And so number one thing that I see a lot of women do is like, I'm going to just restrict my calories. I'm going to eat less. I'm going to eat less. I'm going to eat less. And when we're chronically in this dieting phase, it's not great for us because number one, when we're going through perimenopause and menopause, we are more sensitive to stress because of the loss of estrogen and progesterone. And so dieting is also a major stress on the body as well, too. And it places significant demands on your metabolic health, your hormone balance, and your overall well-being. So when we're under eating and dieting, you're essentially depleting your body's energy resources, impairing recovery, and potentially disrupting sleep and hormone balance. So while a calorie deficit, we need to eat less calories in order to lose body fat is what's required. But when we're doing that for a very long period of time, meaning more than 12 to 16 weeks at a time, our bodies will become metabolically adapted to that. Meaning that now our metabolisms adapt to the 1,200 calories that we're doing. And so what ends up happening is that I'll use the example of a phone battery. So let's just say we have what happens to your phone. Like when my battery life goes down to 10%, my phone gives me a notification and it asks me whether I want to go onto energy preservation mode. Does your phone do that as well too?
Yes.
Yes. So our bodies does the exact same thing. And this is what we mean when we become metabolically adapted. When we don't have enough energy coming in for a long period of time, what our bodies will do, our metabolisms will start to downregulate. So we're downregulating our metabolic function, which means that we're also suppressing other symptoms such as our immune system and also our sexual functions, hormonal balance as well too. So our bodies are very smart. And it only will function in a way, 3 things that it's very concerned about. It's designed to strive, thrive, and procreate. So when we don't have enough fuel coming in, our bodies will adapt and it will actually affect our overall metabolic health. And so the other thing that can happen when we're dieting too much is that we can actually lose a lot of lean muscle mass. And that will cause us to retain more body fat and also lower our resting metabolic rate. So I see women doing this a lot. And as you know, as when we go through perimenopause and menopause, we're losing estrogen, which is a hormone that we need to help us build muscle. If we're constantly dieting and not eating enough calories, we're also causing our body to lose even more muscle, which is what we don't want to be happening during this time frame. So the better approach to this is if you want to lose fat loss is that you do it in maybe a 12 or 14 week time frame. And then you take a dieting break after that as well too, so that our body doesn't become metabolically adapted. And we also have to ensure our biofeedback markers like sleep, stress, hunger, cravings, our digestion, all of these things are functioning well, because when our bodies are signaling that these biofeedback markers are not functioning well, then our bodies are not in a place that's ready for fat loss. So that is one of the biggest things that I see women doing a lot, is that they're trying to constantly cut their calories, which it's not a great time to do that, especially when we're over the age of 40, where our bodies are so sensitive to stress. Instead, what I do always suggest is that we take a more targeted approach to fat loss, where we're only doing 12 or 16 weeks at one time, taking a dieting break, going back to maintenance calories. And then, once we've restored the metabolic health and your metabolism has adapted back to where it needs to be, then you can go back into a fat loss phase after that. So that's the one thing that I see. And the other thing that I see a lot of women do is a lot of cardio and a lot of HIIT training, a lot of high intensity training. So they'll resort to things like, Orange Theory, which are great group fitness classes. They're really, really fun. Or they're doing a lot of cardiovascular exercise on cardio machines, elliptical. And again, we have to be very careful of that, because while cardio workouts are great for, our cardiovascular health and our heart health, they can also increase our cortisol levels. And a lot of times what that will happen is that, we get more hungry. So excess cardio can increase our hunger and our cravings. And when we're going through this time of our lives, perimenopause and menopause, what also goes up is our hunger and cravings because of our loss of progesterone and estrogen level. So now we've got that going on. Plus, on top of that, we're doing a lot of cardio on top of it as well, too. And now the hunger and the cravings will increase, and also our cortisol levels will increase as well, too. So it's really not the best approach for fat loss, cardio exercise. yes, it will burn calories during that time frame, but what we should be doing instead is strength training. And strength training helps us improve our overall metabolic health. It helps us build muscle, whereas cardiovascular exercise is not designed for us to build muscle. I would say those are the two top common mistakes that I see a lot of women doing over the age of 40 that want to lose weight or improve their overall body composition.
So you need to focus on the stress management and you need to maintain the cortisol in a normal level. In the same time, you need to give a break between the 10-12 week. What exactly they do for the nutrition in this active 10-12 week? Again, in the diet, or what they doing exactly?
Yeah. So what I'm suggesting is that if you need to lose body fat, that you do this maximum, you could do 10 to 16 weeks maximum of being in a calorie deficit, which means that you are eating less calories than what your body requires. So that when you're in that calorie deficit, so it could be anywhere between 300 to 500 calories. And we only do that at a time because the body is so sensitive to stress. We will also start noticing that biofeedback markers will decline. So when clients are doing a fat loss phase, when we're in a calorie deficit, we'll know that it's time to stop that calorie deficit or that dieting phase when we start to notice biofeedback markers decreasing. So for example, maybe they're not sleeping well anymore. Maybe they start getting moody. Maybe they're losing strength in their workouts. Maybe their exercise performance is not as good or their exercise recovery. We start seeing energy levels decline. This is when we know we need to take a break. So what does that break look like? That means we are slowly increasing the calories back up to maintenance calories, meaning now you're eating the right amount of calories that your body needs to sustain that weight. And then we're also, the whole time that, we work with clients, we're always focusing on stress management, like reducing as much stress as possible.
What is exactly right amount of calorie?
That will depend per person. So it depends on your height. It depends on your age. It depends on your activity level. It depends on, how active you are throughout the day as well, too. So we use a certain formula to figure that out. And a lot of it is also just trial and error with the client. So if we're at a certain calorie range and they're following that and we're not seeing any loss, whether it's in inches or on the scale, then we know that that's their maintenance calories.
Good. Let's take another scenario. As you mentioned, there's loss of estrogen and progesterone, and then there's the body changes. And even a woman who is very active, who is in the fitness, in other fitness activity, and they used to be in the younger years more passionate about, they can lose the motivation, they can lose energy, they can lose, as you say, that metabolism change, the change of the body, they make them more heavy and don't feel like do the fitness every day, or even they feel like push themselves. What is the actual recipe in this scenario to feel good about themselves and in the shape again?
Yeah. So first of all, we don't want to overdo it. We don't need to be working out 7 days a week. We don't have to do that. Reducing the overall stress to the body. So walking is one of the best ways that we can reduce cortisol levels. So I always recommend for activity, let's start off with walking. Especially if you're a woman and you have a desk job like myself, I just sit down all day. I purposely have to schedule my walks in because if I don't, I'm only getting 4,000 or 5,000 steps in. And so we want to make sure that we're aiming for about 8,000 to 10,000 steps a day, because that will help you reduce your overall cortisol levels. And then the other thing when it comes to actual programming, we want to make sure that we're strength training. That should be the main focus that we should be doing is strength training. And it doesn't need to be 6 or 7 days a week. Like I recommend at least 3 days a week or even 2, just really depending on how you're feeling. Like for myself personally, like I am going through perimenopause right now. So I had a lot of symptoms. I took 3 weeks off of training to sleep, to recover, to, do all the things that my body really needed to do. So, things that can help bring energy levels back up is, not putting a lot of stress on the body and really listening to what we need to do. So in terms of exercise, I recommend strength training 2 to 3 times a week, focusing on stress reducing activities like getting those daily walks in, getting your face outside to the sun, especially first thing in the morning, and then prioritizing sleep. Because I know women during this time frame have a lot of issues sleeping, but we do need to also try and prioritize the sleep. So I just ran a challenge like last month. And, the challenge was for women over 40. And one of the things that we focused on was getting better sleep. So we said no electronics before bed, 1 hour before bed, no TV screen or anything like that before bed. And then we also set an alarm to get wind down before bed. And so we incorporated things like taking a bath, reading a book, preparing your body for a really good night rest. That's going to be really crucial as well, too.
Is there any difference when we train in 20s and 30s when you come to 40s? Is there any change that the women need to do in their training and then their fitness routine compared to younger years? And what exactly they have to change?
Yeah, so I would say that what needs to change the most is what we talked about already, is reducing the overall stress levels. But the way that we want to be training is with compound lifts. So what compound lifts are these are multi-joint, multi-muscle exercises. So typically these are classified under squats, deadlifts, presses. So these are like bench presses or shoulder presses, pull-ups or chin-ups, and rows, lunges, and then also the hip thrusts. Okay. So the majority of the exercises that we should be focusing on is compound lifts. And we also want to be doing progressive overload training. So we really want to avoid these high intensity exercise routines like group fitness classes or a lot of HIIT, a lot of running. And we want to be focusing on building muscle. Okay. And the reason why we want to be building muscle is because this will help us improve our overall body composition. So the more muscle we have on our body, the more calories our bodies will burn at rest. Also, muscle, it helps us improve our body composition, meaning that we have more muscle on our body and less body fat, okay? And as we age, these compound lifts, they help us with functional movement. So for example, squats, this would be sitting down and standing up from a chair. Deadlifts, this is lifting heavy objects off the ground. Bench presses, this is like pushing a door open. Pull-ups and chin-ups is pulling actions like pulling yourself up over a ledge, opening heavy doors. Overhead presses, placing things up high on shelves. The thing that I see most often, I travel a lot, is a lot of older ladies are not able to put their carry-on in the overhead bin above that, because they've lost so much muscle mass.
Yeah.
So, why we want to also be focusing on these movements, it's for functional movement as we age. Rows, are really important so that we can pull heavy objects. Lunges is for climbing and walking stairs, stepping forward and back. And then also when we want to be working on the hip thrusts, which is picking up very heavy objects and stabilizing our pelvis while we're walking. So not only are they the best exercises to help us build muscle and improve our body composition, because they're multi-joint and multi-muscle exercises, but we're also preparing for life as we age so that we continue to be strong.
Okay. How they can start?
I would suggest if you're going to work out 2 times a week, we can pick, a few exercises out of what I've just mentioned, like your squat, deadlift, the row, and do a full body workout and just repeat that 2 days out of the week. What you could do is 3 sets of 10 reps of each exercise. And that is a really great way for you to start, is just do the basics. Now, in order for us to build lean muscle mass, we want to be working on progressive overload training. So what I mean by that is that we want to be doing one program for at least 6 to 12 weeks. So we don't want to be going and doing random workouts, right? A lot of times we'll go scroll on YouTube and we do a lot of random workouts. That is not what we want to be doing. We want to be doing a progressive overload training program. So let's just say you start off with 2 days a week. And let's just say you take these exercises and maybe you split them up over 2 days. You do 3 sets of 10. And what you want to do is every week repeat this and try to lift a little bit heavier. So if at the beginning of the program, you decide I want to do this for 6 weeks and we're starting off with the shoulder press at 5 pounds, we want to end the program stronger, lifting at least 8 pounds or 10. 10 would be even better.
So I think the best way is they reach out for some specialist expert like you to be able to really navigate them and guide them towards the exactly steps that they need to take and not just experiment and try here and there and then without proper guidance. And then they need really to be properly guided with exercise and diet so that they have result, right?
Yeah, well, and the biggest thing is like we have to pair the nutrition also with the training. Because we can go and work out all we want, but if we're not, for example, having enough protein in our diets, our bodies are going to have a very hard time building that muscle mass. So yeah, it's always great to work with a coach because a coach can customize the workout program for you and also make sure nutritionally, we're doing what we need to do.
And how people can reach out to you if they want to work with you?
Yeah, so you can find me several ways. You can go to my website, which is sarafrenzafitness.com. I actually have a free hourglass body blueprint. So if you go on my website, it's on there. There's, lots of great information. You can get like a free workout program, a recipe book as well, too, a protein-packed recipe book. Or you can come find me on Instagram, which is Sara_Frenza. And I also do have a private Facebook group as well, too. So if you visit my website, all of my links to where you can find me is on there.
So to wrap up today's conversation is, I have to say, make them focus more on the stress management.
Yes.
Balance, and then to find the proper way to not overdo what I remember that you say, not overdoing, and then not really focus on cutting calorie, but really in the long-term game, you need to take a break also, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. Not constantly being in a dieting phase all the time, properly nourishing our bodies, getting some strength training in, and making sure that we're eating enough to fuel our bodies so that we can build lean muscle mass.
Great. Thank you so much for this valuable information and to be my guest in Menopause Made Easy, to lighten up about how they can lose the weight in belly fat. That's all women want to do.
Yes.
And I hope that some of them, they're going to reach out and get more information from your Facebook and from your social media. They will have in the notes your social media links and everything. If you want more support and how to relax more and stress manage, visit menopausesupportacademy.com.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you for tuning into Menopause Made Easy. You can check out more episodes on Apple, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and your favorite podcast apps. Check out the show notes for any website linked to this episode, including where to connect with me on social media. I appreciate you tuning in. Remember to like, subscribe, and turn on your notifications so you'll be updated of each episode release. And visit me at menopausesupportacademy.com for all podcast updates as well. Appreciate you dropping by.